people start to realize our differences aren't as big as they seem.
I couldn't really understand the magnitude of what was going on.
I know a lot of people were affected.
You know, it's still that divide.
From the All Indiana Podcast Network and Wish TV, this is Our City, Our Voice.
You look a lot different at it.
Everybody was kind of spinning about what it was and what was happening.
Everything's changed.
Celebrating Earth Day every day is brought to you by Eskenazi Health and Indiana Family of Farmers.
Good evening and welcome to Celebrating Earth Day Every Day. I'm Alexis Rogers.
And I'm Phil Sanchez. We're at the Common Grounds at Eskenazi Health, a unique outdoor green space that provides a peaceful gathering spot to host wellness events. And later this summer, houses a local farmers market.
Dedicated in 2014, it is the home of this beautiful fountain, appropriately named Healing Waters, and a perfect location for us as we join in the country in the celebration of our planet and how we can protect it.
And tonight we're sharing 5 stories from companies and individuals who are making a big difference in the environmental health of our world.
You'll learn about a sustainable way to farm one of the most highly sought after proteins in the world, and the company has headquarters right here in Indianapolis.
Very cool. From renewable fuel to natural rubber, find out what's driving IndyCar to become a more earth-friendly racing series.
We visit one of the Indiana family of farmers whose innovative organic recycling techniques help fellow farmers be good earth stewards.
Yeah, Master Gardener Carrie Petty shares tips on how homeowners can create environmentally friendly gardens.
And we'll find out more about the innovative green efforts this hospital takes to create a cleaner, healthier environment.
All that when Celebrating Earth Day Every Day returns.
Celebrating Earth Day every day is brought to you by Eskenazi Health and Indiana Family of Farmers.
What can 160 years of experience teach you about the future? A lot, especially when it comes to protecting what matters. At Pacific Life, we've helped people and businesses confidently embrace the future with life insurance, retirement income, and employee benefits. With strategies built on strength and trust, and a promise to be here for you today and tomorrow. Ask a financial professional how Pacific Life can help you today. Pacific Life Insurance Company, Omaha, Nebraska, and in New York. Pacific Life and Annuity, Phoenix, Arizona.
Celebrating Earth Day every day is brought to you by Eskenazi Health and Indiana Family of Farmers.
Welcome back to Celebrating Earth Day Every Day. Designed and built in 2013, Eskenazi Health is one of the most environmentally friendly hospital campuses in the entire United States.
I mean, you can see why. Brian Barrick is the Vice President of Strategy and Innovation and the Green Team Leader here at Eskenazi Health. He shares with us some of the innovations that they have developed to help create a healthier future for the community that they serve.
We have been invested in the buildings, that especially our newer buildings. The hospital campus is LEED certified, as is our health center on West 38th Street. We're in process of building a new location on the east side of Indianapolis. It will also be LEED certified. What that means is we are building in a way that makes us conscious of the amount of energy that we use, the amount of water that we use, and that we're using natural light to the best of our abilities. So it starts with our campuses. Additionally, we do some cool things like there is a farm on the top of our hospital that not everybody may know about. The produce that is grown there is actually used to teach nutrition classes, both in English and in Spanish. We also have a biodigester in our cafeteria. So all of our patient food waste and our cafeteria food waste, we put into this system that breaks it down to the point that we're able to take that waste and wash it down the drain versus sending it to a landfill. About a year ago, we selected individuals in the organization that we thought could participate and contribute to environmental change. So we have experts in our supply chain department, our environmental services department. I've got members of our clinics that are off-site. I've got clinicians. And what we do is we've been focused on identifying the different forms of waste that we create inside the health system. We actually followed the trash one day from where it comes up on the patient units to where it makes us down to the dock. We also visited our local recycling plant to understand how that works. So next steps with that is we've picked 4 pilot areas that we'll test some further recycling out in. So a patient room, a clinic room, lobbies, and administrative back offices that we can look at ways to further recycle and reduce the landfill waste that we create here at the health system. So we use this space frequently for gatherings within the health system. The public also uses it frequently. It's not uncommon in the summertime to come out here, and there's a local preschool that'll come out and play in the fountain out front. All of our facilities, we have been intentional about trying to make sure we're close to public transportation, that we can leverage bike parking where optional and where possible. But this is just a way for us to encourage both our patients, our families, our team members to get outside, enjoy some fresh air and some sunshine. It's a journey, I would say. When you start to think about how do you recycle more and do more sustainability, when you first start to check into that, it appears like it's going to cost a lot of money. So we have the right folks engaged within the health system for us to find ways to do that are financially sustainable and not adding to our bottom line. But we're just trying to tap into the passion that people have that work here for the environment and find creative ways that we can capture as much of that landfill waste off as we can and then get it to the right recycling avenue.
And welcome back to Celebrating Earth Day Every Day. We want to update you on a story that first appeared in our Business Equity and Opportunities show late last year.
Yeah, so we introduced you to Daniel Russick. He's the CEO of Adaraya Shrimp Box at the first shrimp harvest in their newly opened Indianapolis Aquaculture Training Center.
And since then, Adaraya was named to Time's annual Best Inventions list, and Daniel was part of South by Southwest Innovation Awards, where he took part on a celebrated panel about the future of food.
We are a company that developed technology to enable urban shrimp farming, so we can farm shrimp sustainably without using any chemicals, any antibiotics, and using local talent to grow shrimp in cities that are not connected to the ocean. We realized quickly that there was no future in fishing, because fishing is an extractive activity, and the resources that it relies on are, let's say, depleted, or exploited at its maximum. So we reached peak fish in the 80s. So the only way to make the pie bigger is through aquaculture. That holds an amazing promise, and because the seafood demand grows exponentially. But at the same time, aquaculture is a very destructive economic activity. It is responsible for 50% of the destruction of our mangrove forests in the world, and you can find scandals for labor, many things, no? And also it uses preservatives and antibiotics to deliver a product that it's actually not that good for your health. But at the same time, the market cannot get enough of shrimp. So in the past 10 years, shrimp farming has grown 6 times, and the price has increased 10-15%. So then the question was, can we grow shrimp sustainably? So we started doing that. So we switched from NGO to startup 11 years ago. We started developing biotechnology that previously was only used in universities and research labs. We were the first company to bring it to a commercial size operation that's still running in Oaxaca, Mexico. We started shipping fresh, never frozen shrimp here to the United States for sustainability-driven customers that paid an interesting premium for the story and for the lack of antibiotics and the quality. Our product has 3 times longer shelf life than the traditional shrimp farmed product. But we were flying the shrimp, and logistically it was a nightmare. It killed our margins, it killed our sustainability claim. So we wanted to see if the question was, can we grow shrimp using our technology in cities? And the answer to that question is Shrimpbox, which is a plug-and-play, semi-autonomous farm that we manufacture them in Mexico, and we can put them here to work, in this case in landlocked Indianapolis.
Ooh, talk about cool. The Shrimpbox Indianapolis location is steadily growing, and Daniel's contributions to helping improve the environment grow along with it.
You know, Don Lamb is the director of the Indiana State Department of Agriculture and is also a second-generation Indiana farmer.
I mean, talk about cool. Don invited our crew to Lamb Farms in Boone County to visit their organic compost recycling center. Wait until you see this cost-effective and environmentally friendly boost to that farm community.
Well, we're in Boone County, Indiana, and we're actually looking at a wheat field behind us. So this field was planted in October of last year and it'll be harvested in July. And so that's winter wheat in Indiana, which isn't a huge crop in Indiana compared to corn and soybeans, but it is something we do quite a bit of in Indiana. Everything about sustainability is really about longevity. It's about generations. So, you know, my dad's 85 years old and still farming with us, and he farmed some of these same fields a long time ago. And then we hope for the future for that to be the case for our kids and grandkids. And so sustainability is all about keeping that soil healthy. And that means you don't lose it by water erosion, wind erosion, anything you can do to protect that soil. So you think about a field like this that's covered with wheat for the winter time, it's protected and it's got some great conservation methods in place to keep that soil healthy. Well, one big initiative is cover crops, and that's, you know, the idea of planting a crop that you're never going to harvest is unusual, but we've learned that if you plant a crop in between your crops, that just gives that soil that stability and that time to be protected through the winter time, through those off seasons. So cover crops is by far maybe the biggest thing that's been fairly new. There's about 15 million acres of cropland in Indiana, and about 2 million of those now get cover crops planted to them. So there's a lot of room for growth in that area, and but it's also an area that we need to learn more about. It's not something you can just do without knowing what you're doing. So it's an area that we can educate more about cover crops and how to use them. When there's crops growing, you can't spread that manure, so you've got to do something else with it. And composting is a good way to responsibly, you know, hold on to that resource until you can use it. So we started composting as a necessity, and now we've learned that composting is such a great way to recycle lots of different things. Anything that once was living can be composted. So if you think about things like food waste, that many businesses, organizations throw away a lot of their food that might end up in a landfill. Well, that all should be composted. And when you think about agriculture being really the next clean fill site, you know, we've got thousands and thousands of acres that can be used to responsibly spread a resource that's good for the land. You know, once was something that was a waste, now it's good for the land, and it's a great soil amendment to put on the land. That is finished compost, and he's got a screening bucket on that payloader, and so he'll scoop it up, and that bucket has got some teeth in it that will screen out the small stuff, and it'll keep the big stuff in the bucket. So when we get done, what goes in the truck is ready to be spread on a field or spread on a garden. He'll dump that off over there, and it's just the stuff that was bigger for whatever reason. Maybe there's still a piece of wood that didn't quite get composted. This stuff, I can tell it's a little bit wet right now, just we've had enough rain that it's not going through as quickly as it sometimes would if it was drier. And that material, we'll just pick it back up and put it back in a compost windrow, and it'll break down the next time. It's an exciting time. It's a very exciting time to be a part of agriculture, and there's so much going on. There's a healthy future.
All right, when we come back, we head over to Speedway, Indiana to find out the steps IndyCar is taking to become a sustainable motorsports racing series.
That and much, much more ahead. So earlier this month, Keep Indiana Beautiful and the Indianapolis Motor Speedway partnered to plant 80 native trees along Georgetown Road in Speedway. One of the many sustainability initiatives that we've seen.
Yeah, so we caught up with Doug Bowles, the CEO of IMS, to find out more about IndyCar's new sustainability practices and how the race is on track to work with the community to create a more environmentally friendly environment.
When you think about racing, it's not the first thing that comes to your mind is sustainability, and it's something that really over the last several years we've focused on, but even this year more so. So when folks come to the racetrack, the NTT IndyCar Series cars have a big green Buckeye where the fuel goes in. That fuel is 100% renewable race fuel. The trucks that deliver the cars, not just in Indianapolis, but around the country when we go racing, that diesel fuel they use is renewable fuel, and that's something that we started doing last year. Actually, last year one of the things we put in at the Speedway for those trucks is we have a recharging station there. We've been experimenting with bringing our Firestone tires, which have a renewable element as well. We're experimenting with bringing those in not through your traditional internal combustion engine, but through battery-powered trucking. So we're trying to experiment and then pass that from us to the teams that go on the road as well as the things we do at the racetrack. We've been in contact with Keep Indianapolis Beautiful for a long, long time. It's been a relationship that's really important to us. They've helped as almost a consultant to us as we start thinking about tree replenishment, what we're doing at the golf course. But last year, year, they created this really cool biodiversity study for us where we really looked at the natural species that use the Indianapolis Motor Speedway property as their home. So plants, insects, animals, and over 200 species that call the Indianapolis Motor Speedway home. So we've baselined that so we know how to protect them, but also how to encourage the growth inside those 1,000 acres we have. And then when we get an opportunity to do things like plant trees around our community and really support them in a way that they're supporting us, it's something that's really special for us. One simple thing that really gets me excited is recycling. And you think about 300,000 people come to the Speedway. It used to be that we talked about, look at all the trash that's around the Indianapolis Motor Speedway when people have left, which really started us thinking about, well, that shouldn't be there. How do we encourage our fans to engage in recycling? So last year was the first year we had about 1,000 recycling bins and trash bins around. We encourage people, split your stuff up, let's recycle stuff, let's put our trash where it belongs. That's the one thing that's got me the most excited, because I can't believe how many of our fans were thankful that we are actually making an effort to do that. But then even going beyond that, so we're thinking about how are we composting, how are we thinking about using rooftops at some point in time as maybe a way to drive some solar energy to power some of the facilities at the Speedway. So I think you'll see a lot of that change, but the thing that gets me most excited is we've now engaged with our customer, those 300,000 people, and said, hey, when you're at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, let's make a difference as a collective group and recycle what we bring into the Speedway.
Master gardener Carrie Petty is a frequent contributor to our Lifestyle Live morning show and has practical tips to help our gardens grow a little bit.
When we're thinking about Earth Day, we are thinking about Earth Day every day. Really, we should be doing that every day in the garden with diversity, thinking about the microbiome, thinking about the ecosystem that we're providing. And there's a really great way you can do that at home. I'm Carrie Petty, Master Gardener. You're at my home today. And one thing we did last night even was have a bonfire. And that potash from the bonfire alone is just incredible for your garden. A light coat over the top provides an incredible amount of potash nutrients that we can get right at home. Same with saving your coffee grounds. Coffee grounds are some of the greatest things that we can add as a nutrient to our garden soil, along with compost and other leaf molds, to be able to create that microorganism biosphere that is really what diversity is all about. There's a whole new theory, particularly with the home farmsteads now, about a closed loop system. And that means using everything around you to provide for that whole circular system. The eggs you eat in the morning, those are really great, crushed up for calcium in the soil. And last night, that bonfire we were talking about got a little low, so I took some of these fabulous oak leaf hydrangea heads, and they're great fire starters, but they also add a diversity to that potash. So I just think it's incredible to think about all the ways to preserve the things that we have in our home and our life and reuse them. Of course, we're always talking about reusing, recycling, using what we have, but I think I'm a hoarder of jars more than anything. I love jars, and I'm really picky about my jars. They have to be real pretty. They have to have the labels that come off real well. Olive oil and hot water are a really good trick with a paring knife. These jars are fabulous to send to my friends. When my garden comes in full bloom this summer, I fill them with bouquets and I send them off to my friends. And then they don't have to return them. So I save them just to share the love. But also when we're recycling your egg cartons, another great use. When you're starting seedlings, there is nothing better than poking a little bit of a hole in the bottom of your egg cartons and put one seed in each one and then pop them out and transplant them. Now remember, we're zone 5. When you transplant, it's got to be around, Mother's Day. The final thing I will say is make sure that your land, whether it's a neighborhood lot like this that looks like it might be a lot bigger, but it's less than a quarter acre, and I have 120 different varieties of plants here in my home in Indianapolis, Indiana, but I also have a water feature, and I also feed the birds, and I have a bat house that I get ready to put up, and I put up nesting boxes for the birds to create that diversity. But in the pond, one thing that you don't want to do as a gardener is get too impatient. But cleaning up that pond too soon, you're going to get rid of your newts, your frogs, your tadpoles. You're going to get rid of all those eggs. Same with your gardening beds. Don't clean up that debris too soon, and that's really hard for me. So I hope that together we can create a better diversity for all of us to live in.
Well, we hope you enjoyed our Celebrating Earth Day Every Day special, and we also hope that we inspired you to become more environmentally friendly to help keep our world sustainable.
There's a lot of it. We got to keep it tight. And you will find all of these stories and more on our website at wishtv.com. From all of us at Wish TV, thank you so much for joining us, and remember, be encouraged.
Discover more at wishtv.com. And when you follow Wish TV on Facebook, check out more podcasts from the All Indiana Podcast Network now at allindianapodcastnetwork.com.